Well, there you go. That was fun. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to the live show. Oh man, that was a lot of fun. That was a lot of trippy fun. I think so. I think someone. Let's see who got the. Aaron with the 7-6 to start the evening. I'm not even really sure if that's exactly what the time signature was, but it was a time signature of some sort. All right. How's everybody doing out there tonight? We got 7 people to start. Looks like we got some of our usual live crew, of course. Our blue wrenched friends, Albus Band, Aaron Lee himself, and the Ben Coombs. That's right, Ben. You get a "the" as well. Oh, yeah. Let's see who else we got in the chat with us right now. We got Brian Landreth has a new guitar day. Dude, picks, or it didn't happen. So Brian Landreth is joining us. Brian, thank you again for joining in as you usually do. It's always nice to see you. We got Gussie Wells joining in as well. Gussie, my friend, welcome to the show. Dwight Bailey in the house tonight. Dwight, thank you so much for spending some time with me tonight. Jay Steen in the house. How you doing, Jay? Good to see you here. It looks. And Terry's GG&G right down there. How you doing, Terry? Great to have you in the house tonight. All right, man, we got Ben Coombs, the real moderator to the stars. I'm beginning to think that that's exactly the case. And Aaron, you would be right. I found the loop side of Mood. Oh, how's everybody doing out there tonight? Just gonna don't really have much of a plan for the show tonight, to be honest with you guys. It's been a pretty busy week around here. I've been kind of relegated to not being able to be up here most of the week. My wife has been busy editing a video project for our nonprofit organization, because we're looking to join an organization called NACA, which is the National Association of Campus Activities, and we're, excuse me, kind of working on some press right now and doing a little hype video so that we can go to this show to potentially book some shows at college campuses across the country. So, you know, we're kind of hoping that. So she's been stuck up here all week. And then yesterday we had to take a day off because neither of us slept well, and there's no innuendo to be grabbed from there. And then the next day it was basically like 2 hours at the dentist, and it was, by then the day was just shot, and there was no reason to start anything. But we can talk about a few things. Namely, what's on the floor tonight. So, yeah, let's go over a little bit of what I'm plugged into. Of course, something we're going to be, you know, kind of touching on here, and I think we should probably just keep this conversation going because I think it's actually a good conversation to have. An authentic, get that out of here because I don't have to cover up the name on the headstock. Going in with the trusty number 1, Les Paul. We've switched up the wah pedal on the floor this week to the DJ Ashba skeleton wah. Going into that is, of course, the Nux Cerberus, which we've been using on a lot of the live streams. Pretty much it's been exclusively what we've been using. So that's going to take care of all the drive and the distortion. There's the modulation to that as well. So chorus and any sort of, you know, phaser stuff. And then delay and reverb, all coming from there, except for what comes next, and that's Chase Bliss Mood, which it's such a cool little thing. And then so it's kind of like an ambient wet effect and micro looper in one. And of course, you know, we'll obviously delve more into what exactly it is and how exactly you work it when we actually get around to doing a demo, which I'll most likely be shooting next week. But in and of itself, we'll just kind of delve into some of the more fun things that you can do just by, you know, turning some knobs and playing, because that's really what you need to be doing with this pedal. It's you kind of get your bearings about it, and then you just kind of explore. So there goes that. Let's go back to the chat because I thought I saw a couple new names pop up. Charlie S in the house. Charlie, welcome, my friend. Great to have you here tonight. I think some people were telling me what they were doing earlier today. I got to know what's going on here. Ben has set up a guitar today, made 3 videos and a short lesson. That sounds like a busy day. Yes, Ben. Well, it sounds like a good day, too. Got to walk out for a cool walk in cool weather and obtain chocolates while listening to Smashing Pumpkins. I like that day, Terry. I like that. Good to know that the weather is cool. It's been kind of weird around here, to be honest. Like, in my studio room right now, it is just, you know, it's really hot. Like, I got the window in front of me open, and I got the fan going above me, so you're probably hearing that going off and off. But it got to a point where, on Monday where I had to go make a Target run, and it came across, like, the $20 box fans that you can just, like, stick in a window. And dude, it's making a world of difference in the bedroom right now because it's like not even, no air movement, and which is weird because I live by the beach, so you think it'd be pretty mild, but but it should be getting hotter here at the beaches right now, and it's not. So, just got to get it kind of, a little bit cooler in here. So yeah, that's what we're running on the floor. It's a pretty good little setup. Let's take a quick listen to this Ashba skeleton wah, because I've been playing the George Lynch like crazy on these live streams, and thank you, Gussie, appreciate that. So the Ashba wah is supposed to be more of a like a somewhat traditional kind of wah sound. Might need to be something more along the lines of what a straight rock player might end up using. So it's definitely got that. It's got that kind of classic. So definitely more along the lines of, it's got more of that kind of classic sweep to it. So yeah, pretty sweet sounding wah pedal. Let's see. Yeah, it's a really nice sounding sweep, isn't it, Terry? But I feel like this is it sits in your traditional camp. So if you want something just a little bit different, then you're gonna have to go for like the George Lynch wah. Brian, god damn it, you guys are gonna troll me about that damn calendar forever, aren't you? How about some funk? I seen an old video when your wife is saying people playing something that's not funk, add some gain. I don't know. It's been so long, I have no idea what video that is, Jay. But oh, how about some funk? Funky enough, but I think it works. One of those Jasco plumbing calendars. I don't know. I'll have to look into that video. I didn't see that one yet. What's the update on CEO? Nothing new to report here, man. I'll probably be spending some time tracking some bass stuff over the course of the summer, so that we can hopefully release some new songs in the fall. But other than that, I mean, that's kind of what my wife has been up here all week doing, was working on a video to help us get like some gigs. So we'll see how things go. Okay, that's the video that Brian was talking about, I guess. Whoever said it about the calendar. I didn't check that one out yet, Ben, so I'd have to go back and see. Let's see. Brian's got a pretty good question. What do I think about the new Fender Vintera series? How many times is Fender gonna rename the mid-price instruments that they make? It seems like every couple of years they're changing up the name of the series. And it's one thing with like the alternate reality and the parallel universe series where they're actually doing something that's like kind of different, but this really just comes across to me like it's just a renaming. There's certain specs that they're trying to stick to within the specific eras, and then there's modified versions of the instruments that incorporate some other things that aren't quite correct. It is what it is. I see people, going, I see people saying, especially now with the aftermath of everything with the Gibson gaffes recently, I literally see people saying with the announcement of the this Vintera series that Fender's killing it. And it's like, they're all of my misgivings for how I feel about Fender aside, it's kind of like you're literally just saying they're killing it because it's cool at the moment to keep ragging on Gibson and kicking them in the nuts when they're down. It's like, it's nothing that cool. It's nothing that different. Maybe they've restructured the pricing, but it's nothing that they haven't done in the past. And I swear, it's like, Fender to me always is one of the most boring things to see at NAMM. And everything else that I want to see at Fender comes from their subsidiary brands. It comes from Squier. It comes from EVH and Jackson and Charvel. It comes from those brands, and I don't really care to see anything that Fender's doing. The biggest surprise to me this year was how, they basically just spent all this time talking about that Acoustasonic Telecaster. And it's like, okay. And then coming across the damn thing, it's like, okay, this is cool. But then realizing, like, right across the hall, there's the made in Mexico Jimmy Page Dragon Telecaster that I had no clue about. And I'm like signed up through NAMM on several different like press release boards. So I'll get emails from companies and their PR firms like about stuff that's coming out. And it's just so silly, how I just don't feel that inspired to really, care about what they're doing. And this is one of those examples. It's just like, it's literally just a change of a name and then moving specs around and moving price points around. And all of a sudden we have a new series. That's not called killing it. That's called experimenting. I guarantee in like 3 years that series won't exist anymore, and we'll have some other new name for that particular guitar series. It's just silly. There's some stuff that people are saying. I was like, yeah, Terry, that's kind of how I felt about it too. Basically being like a Fender classic vibe series. Definitely had that feel about it. Oh, Jay, the Love Tone meatball thing. No, she was saying like we had only been playing funk, so now like play with distortion. Because it's like, okay, we've played enough funk. Play with some distortion. Yeah, Aaron, again, like $1,000 for made in Mexico. I think if the Mexican-made Fenders were already priced slightly higher and we were like kind of okay with that. I mean, look, there are some of the Chapmans that come from Korea get up into that $1,000 range. So I'm actually okay with the pricing on that. But I've not played a Mexican-made Fender that I felt like was worth $1,000. So you're definitely right on that. Player series here is 900 Canadian. Yikes. Jay, I'm not excited at all over Fender's new series. Me neither. And that's exactly what I would say. Grand American. We get Grand American. I don't even know what that is. People forget Gibson in the 70s. Yeah, I know that for sure. I do. I don't usually look at them. The Gresh I got is... okay, Brian's got a Gresh. That's what he got today. $450. That's good. Fender is pretty good at marketing. It seems like they're finally reaching out to YouTubers, because I've been seeing the pedals get demoed, but they're very I rarely see demos for the guitars outside of like dealers like Anderton's and whatnot. Toman has done a couple videos on the new stuff recently. I just don't see enough of the pedals getting out there. And I've tried. I've tried to tell to contact somebody at Fender, and they just don't return emails. So, what's a guy to do? But yeah, I just think it's kind of silly. It's not anything I'm interested in, and I think it's silly and irresponsible to say that Fender is killing it. The only reason people are saying Fender's killing it right now is because nobody wants to talk about Gibson in a positive light in any way, shape, or form. That's my personal 2 cents on that subject. Anyway, let's talk about something that I'm actually going to like, and that is mood. So Mood is a really interesting pedal, and I'll show you guys the box it came in. Another one of the trademark Chase Bliss wooden boxes. Stained pink. Oh. There we go. That's better. Stained pink, stamped with Mood on the side. I got number 613. They were really secretive about this. I got the email about something. Man, something feels weird on my finger right now, almost like I got a splinter in there. But they literally emailed me about 5 days before a week before this was due to release, and then it came in like 4 days. So the way that I found out about it was only just barely close to when you all found about it. It was intended to be like a drop. It wasn't meant to be anything that was so super heavily promoted. They wanted it to be something kind of special. So essentially what you have is you have two sides of it. You have, and I have the manual here. So on the left side of the pedal, I'm going to move it over here. On the left side of the pedal, you have what they call the wet channel. So this was a collaboration. It was Chase Bliss, Old Blood Noise, and Drolo Effects. Now, Old Blood Noise designed the left side of the pedal, which has a bunch of different ambient wet effects with reverb, delay, and a mode called slip. The interesting thing about all these effects is that they're not in. If you play any Old Blood Noise Endeavors pedals, you know that they are not typical pedals of their style. They're a very specific kind of thing. They're very adventurous. They're very out there. They're very different. Now, the right side was done by Drolo, and it's sort of a micro looper with 3 different modes of looping. Tape, envelope, and consult the manual. Where to go? Stretch. That's what it's called. Stretch. So then you have all these routing options, and you can decide what does the wet effect affect. Does it go on the loop, or does it go on your inputted guitar signal, or does it go on both? Then it has a control for the master clocking of the whole pedal, which can in turn affect delay times and tones and fidelity and pitch shifting and all sorts of crazy things like that. So what I thought would be kind of fun to do is just to very, very basically just play around with this and kind of sample some of these sounds for you, because it is just, it's one of those pedals that when I do the demo, I'm obviously going to show you guys how you can get everything and how you can do everything. But this is a pedal that really comes down to sit with it and play with it. It's a pedal meant for creating. It's not really a pedal that I feel is like you read the manual and you just instantly are you know everything about it. It's always going to be surprising you. So for example, right now I have the clock set straight up at 12 o'clock. Now, according to the manual, when I have the clock around there, I'm probably looking at like maybe like 2 seconds worth of looping time. Maybe. I don't know. It scares me, Jay. It kind of does scare me, because there's a lot that you can do, and it doesn't do it in the way that everybody else would do it. So if I play just a chord right now, so you can hear that the way the loop has been captured is kind of really choppy. Now you can adjust that on the looper with the stretch. No, wait, hold on. I'm still learning here too, people. Where the hell is it? The length and the modify knob. So I just turned that length knob a bit counterclockwise, so now it's about like 10 o'clock. Now I'm going to turn the modify knob clockwise. you just end up with this ability to kind of take that sound, morph it in pitch, morph it in speed. Now I'm going to turn clock. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the routing to put the wet effects on that loop. So we have a reverb, which allows you to adjust the amount of smudging of various echo repeats. So you can get it very regimented, almost like an echo, but then you can smudge them together and it definitely gets much more washy. Washy, not watchy. I turned the time knob. Now for turning the clock again. It's just nuts. And that just barely scratches the surface right there. And then, of course, you can just play it like a reverb. There's also a delay. And it gets kind of artifacty on it. Then there's stretch, I think is what it's called. Slip. So there's slip and stretch. Still learning, you know. So it has all these different ways of like morphing the audio to create these really cool delay sounds. So it's got all these weird kind of manipulations for the audio. And there's some chat going on in the chat about Therme, and there's a lot of relationships to some of the things that you can do with Therme that you can do with Mood. The difference with Therme is that it's 100% an analog delay, just being completely overworked. And that's where you get a lot of the really cool glitchy artifacts that you can get in Therme. That's why you get kind of a granular texture to the repeats of that particular delay. It's just because those chips are really being overworked. You can get something kind of similar here, but it's much more controlled on Therme than it is here. The difficult thing that I can say about what I'm going to do with this particular demo is that I have a basic outline of how I'm going to show off these things, but I'm going to have a hell of a time really getting you guys to understand that the best thing to do with this is just, if you're really interested in it, you have to accept it as a, it's a performance thing. It's a piece of gear that you're literally just going to be playing, and you can't really necessarily think about it as a means of as a means of necessarily composition. This is very improvisational. So just think about that for a while. So as an example of that kind of improvisational nature of it, let's have a play, huh? So I'm going to record a loop. I'm going to set the clock to 2K, which will allow me to record 16 seconds of audio. Now, the thing is, this is an always listening looper. So I just hit it and it's recorded. So turning that clock down. I believe I have it where it's supposed to be. I'm going to put the wet effect to the input signal. And we're going to do tape on the looping. So tape allows you to adjust the speed and direction of your loop in quantized steps. Length slices the loop up into grains. Moving the control counterclockwise reduces the grain size, and to make your loop porous, swelling in and out, or dissolving into bits. Modify sets the speed direction of the loop from counterclockwise to clockwise. So I want it to be pretty much exactly what I put into it. So I'm just going to set both of those at 12. And then I'm going to kind of try to count to 16 and hope for the best. So now let's manipulate it. You have no idea what it's going to give you. And you just have to roll with the punches, and that's kind of the fun thing about it. At least that, what I've been discovering so far is that it's fun. Okay, so to kind of veer into something, I've been thinking a little bit about this whole Gibson thing going on, because it's still hot in the news, and it's still something that people want to talk about, and I do actually still want to talk about it, because I think it is something that we should speak about, and I want to be kind of honest with you guys about something. That patented Shaunesty of me. So, one of the things that has seemed to be a real, like, hot button issue for people has been the whole, like, play authentic kind of thing. And I've been doing some thinking about the video, and I found the video, and I watched it a couple times today. And I had some thoughts about what exactly that whole thing means, and what exactly they were really trying to get at, and what was the purpose of it, and what did it really mean, and can we actually take something of value from what they said, or what's something that we should read into more here. And I do this because a couple days ago, I posted on Facebook, if any of you guys are friends with me, that I was just tired of seeing the same jokes posted over and over again. And I just think it's time for people to move on. I think we've had our fun, but now's the time where the serious shit kicks in. Because some serious shit has been kicking in. For one, you have the fact that Reverend, who have been making Flying V styled guitars for quite some time, took down any model resembling the Flying V from their website. Obviously Dean has responded to the potential of a lawsuit being filed against them from Gibson, so saying that they will vigorously protect themselves. And, that's commendable. Anybody that feels like they're being attacked should defend themselves. And if that's the way that Dean feels, then more power to them. That's basically why we have the legal system. So I watched the video a couple times today. And for those of you who don't know the video that I'm talking about the Play Authentic video that sparked this whole thing that got pulled down. You can find it on Reddit. It's somewhere lurking there. And I was really intrigued by, the tone of it and the sort of the talking points that they chose for the particular emphasis of what they were trying to get at. And one of the things that I've been studying a lot over the course of the last year and a half, 2 years has been I've been getting more into writing. As a matter of fact, I have a new writing gig now. I'll be writing some upcoming blog articles for Carvin Amps and Audio's website. So when that is all, 100% ready to go, I'll be sure to let you guys know. But I've also, having worked in this business about a decade of my life and having spent a lot of time in and amongst the communities of guitar players and speaking to other guitar players, and much as like we're doing right now, we are engaging in a chat right now. Terry Himes in the house. How you doing, Terry? Thanks for joining in. Really appreciate it. There's 13 of us watching right now. This is really cool. Hope you guys enjoyed the little mood thing. That was a little bit of fun. So one of the things that I've been thinking about in terms of as a writer is obviously the idea of a script, and obviously and the way that you can make written word sound more conversational, the way you make written word sound more naturally spoken, I guess is really what I'm trying to get at here. And one of the things that really struck me about this video is that people were wondering whether or not first and foremost, if Mark was reading off a teleprompter or not, or at least having to memorize a script. Now, the way that I heard it, and the way that I, being someone who's on camera constantly, it definitely felt like, excuse me, burping because I'm drinking soda. The way that I heard it, it definitely felt like he wasn't 100% comfortable with what he was having to say, and the fact that they were going and doing this. You can kind of sense that from the fact that he trips up on his words a couple times. He kind of starts saying one word and then he, morphs into the next. So that almost makes me think that, maybe he had to memorize something, but he tried to put his own, personal touches on it. He tried to put his own personal spin, give it his voice. And this is something pretty common that I see. I think, you guys know I'm a fan of professional wrestling. One of the things that has been bothering me so much is a lot of those trash talking segments that they love to do. They're just starting to get to a point where they sound so funny, because who says these phrases and who says these words? It's that same kind of idea. People are writing things for people in one voice, not realizing, when you're not dealing with actors who make it their livelihood and their job to understand how to say things in a certain way and do things, occupy the skin of another human being, I believe one of the famous films has said in the past. They know how to do that. Everyday people don't necessarily know how to do that. So I definitely feel like there was a little bit of a resistance on his part, but he knew what he had to do, and so he did it. My bigger interests, though, are in, the talking points of why they chose to say the things that they said to sort of drive home the point. It was really interesting that in outlining what is trademarkable and what is, their inherent intellectual property, they're going so far as to, I'll go ahead and pull up the guitar here, talking about the models, the famous models, including, obviously, the Les Paul, the SG, and then going further into the Flying V and the Explorer, talking about not only the headstock shape, which, of course, we know to be one of the more identifying characteristics of a guitar company. We see a lot of single cut guitars that have their own little variations. Sometimes we see them looking exactly like this, but they have a different shape to the headstock, something a little bit different. They go so far as to then say, from the body shape, that single cut body is part of that. It falls under that, which I think is it would be one thing if that was enforced 40 years ago, but it's not. And there have been, many single cut guitars over the course of, the last 40 years that don't look like this and that kind of look like this. But I have a bit of a conspiracy theory, and it stemmed from one day asking myself, why is it that when it comes to guitars, I like Les Pauls most, and then the second, mass-produced guitar is the Telecaster? These two guitars, what is it about these two shapes? Look at them real close. They're both single-cut style body shapes, aren't they? One cut under the neck here, one cut under the neck here. They're both very interesting. And it was further kind of fed when Reverb released an article detailing what would have possibly happened to if Les Paul had gone to Fender, because apparently Fender had sent Les Paul a Telecaster and put Les Paul on the headstock. I don't know if this was, I'm going to have to look up and see if this was a legitimate article or if it was an April Fool's Day prank. But it did make me think, like, holy crap. You know, when you look at these two guitars, there is quite a bit of similarity between the two of them. They're both single cut style body shapes, each with their own unique curvature. The Telecaster body shape, whether it was as the Esquire, the Broadcaster, the No-Caster, whatever, this one came first. It did. I'm willing, as a Gibson fan, and Gibson being my preference, to admit the Telecaster shape came first. But whereas the Telecaster gets derided as sort of the plank, because obviously it's literally just a plank it's a slab body, the Les Paul is much more elegant. It's got some nice curvature to it. It's got the carved top to it. It's a bit more fancy, luxurious. And that was kind of the thing that I felt that was what Gibson was good at, was taking the idea of the electric guitar and then making it a little bit more elegant, introducing some of those kind of characteristics from the jazz boxes with the arch top and the carve to it. Things were a little bit more elegant. So the whole idea now becomes talking about these different things and talking points. I think it's great that they want, production companies to reach out to them so that we start seeing Gibson family brands in film and television products without tape over the headstock. I don't see necessarily how taping over a headstock is not a prevention. I mean, if you got to get a prop somewhere, you got to get a good looking prop somewhere, and the best looking props come from the people. If they're not, working with, it all comes down to communication. So the studios need to start communicating with the companies, and the companies and the studios need to come together, and they need to figure out a way to make things copacetic. Hopefully. And then comes down to the whole, what does play authentic mean? And obviously there's something authentic here, because, no offense, it's a little bit clickbaity. I don't care about saying that. It's a little bit clickbaity, because everybody's doing Gibson clickbait these days, and it's not all of it is funny. Even though because it kind of makes light of the whole situation. It really does. When I took down that post because it just seemed like people were getting belligerent about it. And it was like, yeah, you actually, you don't understand why this is a problem, why I don't want the jokes to be going on, because this is something that it could potentially have serious implications. And the jokes just make light of the serious implications. When Joe Naylor of Reverend himself comments on your post saying, we just took every V-shaped guitar off our website, that's a serious thing. I didn't realize how serious that was going to be. Play authentic. There has to be a different way to go about it. There has to be a different way to say it. There has to be a way to get the message across of what you're really looking to do and what you really mean to say. And what I think Gibson really was trying to say was this: we have the right to enforce our trademarks and protect our trademarks and enforce our copyrights and protect our copyrights and protect our intellectual property. And that we're going to do that. We're going to take advantage of the fact that we are actively going to pursue protecting our intellectual property. You have every right to do that, especially when it comes to forgeries, like legit forgeries and counterfeits. That's just like cash. Counterfeit money is illegal. Counterfeit guitars are just as illegal. It's the same thing. I think China Guitar Skeptic has done great work in that respect to show, like, this is what you get when you buy a counterfeit instrument. You might think you're saving all this money, But look at all these headaches. Look at all these headaches that you have to go through with customs. Look at all these headaches that you go with at the factory. And then when you get the damn thing, it doesn't necessarily play like the guitar that you hoped that it would be. So, buyer be warned. However, knowing my little bit of knowledge about intellectual property law, because I live in a realm where I have to deal with that, I know that if you go past a certain period of not enforcing a trademark, you can't claim something as a trademark once it becomes sort of popular parlance or, popular usage and sort of becomes a poor man's public domain. And I don't see how a body shape can really be that, because everybody's making them. Everybody's making V's, everybody's making Strats, everybody's making Tellys, everybody's making Les Pauls, SGs, whatever. Everybody's making them. It doesn't necessarily mean that, the only thing that I think that really we need to concern ourselves with is like, hey, we're going to make the best Gibson out there. There are many people making what we make out there, but we make the best. And I think that that's really what they should have been trying to say. And because of that, I just came up with an idea for a new video. I, myself, am going to don the leather jacket. Yeah, I really went there. I'm going to don the leather jacket, and I'm going to give the version of Play Authentic that I would have written, that I would have made, and I would have posted if it were Gibson asking me, what we need to get this message across, what would you say? Because I am so sick of seeing these stupid clickbait videos that provide no good content for you guys. The jokes aren't funny. They lack any sort of insight into what the seriousness of this situation is. And the jokes aren't funny. So, Play Authentic SPJ version, TBD, coming soon, maybe within the next week or two, because I'm going to be shooting a lot of stuff next week. Which probably, because we're talking about it and I seem to be on kind of a, it might appear as though I'm taking shots. I don't want anybody to think that this is me taking shots at Gibson. I think you guys know me, well enough to know that I'm a Gibson player. I'm a Gibson fan. You guys have seen Aljon go here in the chat from time to time. He's one of the nicest guys in the world and has been a huge supporter of mine for as long as I can remember. He's been incredibly cool to me to help establish this relationship with Epiphone and Kramer, which I'm hoping will result in a few more videos throughout the course of the year, because at the end of the day, I was very impressed with the Epiphone stuff. And that, again, is, a whole other can of worms, is that it's really sucks when, the decisions of the big wigs affects the little guys. And as far as I can tell you guys, I'm not going to have the money to buy a new Gibson or Epiphone anytime soon, but I got 5 in the collection right now, and I'm very happy with them. I'm very proud to say that those are the guitars that I turn to, that I make music with. Number one has basically built my career for me, and I think it's kind of one of those double-edged swords of like any more professional wrestling fans out there, like with Chris Benoit and his murder-suicide thing. You want to celebrate the guy for his accomplishments, but yeah, how can you excuse what he did? Same kind of thing. I love these guitars. Don't necessarily agree with the direction, but I love the guitars. I love the people. And I think John Cusack from Cusack Music actually said something very similar about meeting Aljon at a Gear Fest over the weekend and talking with him and just saying, like, talking to him and seeing his passion. Like, you just want to go out and you want to buy another Gibson. You want to support this company because the people that work there are just so passionate about the brand and excited to do great work. And all that kind of stuff. And that's the double-edged sword of corporate America. There it is. Somebody asked, Jay, yes, I did see the 60 cycle video, and that's one of the funny ones because they went and they turned it, they took it and they put it into their realm. But whether you guys know it or not, Ryan and Steve were the one coming up with all that funny stuff related to the Gibson stuff. And then everybody just took the memes and started sharing them. After about a week of being like, oh my God, this one's so funny. I've seen it 15 times. So I want to take mine in a little bit of a different direction. Since I've worked in the industry and I'm not just some guy, I think I have an idea of how you can get the real message of what it means to play authentic. Say that you're going to protect your intellectual property, but drive home the fact that you really want people to be buying your shit. I think I know how we can do that. And so I'm going to be spending my time trying to come up with a little script to get that point across. And hopefully, when you guys see it, you'll think that it makes a lot of sense, and that you won't want to I don't know, you just won't want, you'll maybe agree with some of the things that I say. Maybe you'll like the approach a little bit better, and if so, I have no problem with you guys. If you think it's the right way to do it, share it. But we'll see. It's gonna be one thing. Brian, I totally understand where you're coming from on that. Makes all the sense in the world. Ben, most likely you will definitely be seeing Aljon at NAMM. He does live in Nashville, so I'd be hard pressed. I wouldn't doubt that he would be there. I'm gonna go back to the chat and see what's going on. You guys have been saying some stuff. Here we go. Pay no mind. Okay. Jay Steen with a couple good comments here. I hope Gibson really does get their quality control together. I know it takes time to change the company. It's still fresh with a new CEO. Exactly. Brian with another comment here, good one. Not a dig at just Gibson, because most guitar companies are fairly big corporations, but to me, if I'm going to spend $3,000 on a guitar, it would be a Friedman. Dave will actually answer my emails. He will actually answer your emails sometimes. I mean, I've had I have no problem with Dave. Dave's a great guy, and we have a good time at any time we chat. I like to think that we do. But all I know is I've been to where the Friedman guitar. I have been to the factory where the Friedman guitars are made. A lot of that work is Grover Jackson, and for I don't know, $3,000 guitar for me is that's like that is still a bit much personally, but that's just me. Jay, this is probably not intended to be like a troll comment or anything, but it definitely is something that I've thought about. If they're going after Dean, that must mean Dean is a legit company and make good products, though. See, I was arguing the other day that this is the most relevant Dean has been in like 5 years. After Dimebag died, they were riding on this high of like releasing these new Dimebag guitars, and people were so stoked on them. And then they were signing up just about any young guy to an endorsement deal. I think they did 2 different signature models for the guys in Trivium. But yeah, they were signing everybody. They were making guitars like crazy, and they were doing well for themselves. But within the last few years, it just feels like nobody's cared. I haven't cared. They're not making anything that I want to buy. They're certainly not reaching out to me to do demos. Ah, I did not know that, Brian. Gibson made the Les Paul a carved top because the Leo didn't have the equipment to carve tops. Well, there you go. Speaking of Fenders, and me talking about the things that I've been attracted to with Fenders, did anybody see those new Squier Starcasters that they're bringing out? I might have to look into getting one of those. Just when I said I wasn't going to buy any more guitars under $2,500. Jay, they've been doing Vs for some time. I don't know if it's like a newer version of the Vs, but they've had Vs for a few years. The Ron Ashton signature model, I think, was the first one. And I think it was called the Volcano, is like the standard model for it. Ben with an interesting question here. Would they need to completely build authentic to play authentic? Well, that all depends on what your definition of authentic is, I suppose. All LP standards built to R9 spec. Oof, wow. Might be a tall order there. Jay Steen says, I am curious to see what happens. I think it has been out way too long to enforce this. Too many guitars with the same styles. Most players feel the same way. Yeah, they might. I think that's exactly the way that most of us are going to feel about it. That's the way I feel about it, and I'm a Gibson fan. I just don't know if this. I don't think that's going to. I don't think it's going to hold up. But, oh well. What can you do? I don't work for the company. I don't work in their upper brass, so... there you go. Oh, that's cool, Jay, that you got to meet Brian and Tor. Yeah, those two guys are really great. Tor is an incredibly nice guy. I'll always have very fond memories of making my tone prints at GitCon. He was the man, and he was doing some really good stuff over there. But now he's with Universal Audio, and no, he's not doing any video with Universal Audio. Trust me, Jay, when I say Universal Audio did not hire him to be an on-camera talent. That was definitely not the reason that he got hired. He got hired for a reason much greater than just being on camera for them. The Troglogy made a hilarious spoof, Authentic Dean, and in it you see Mark playing two Deans at Norman's and talking positive about them. I was like, oh, LOL. Okay. Yeah, that they've been kind of chopping and taking some of the old videos that Mark did over at Norm's Rare Guitars. I know people have been showing clips of what is it? It was an Ibanez Rocket Roll Flying V episode that he did. So, people are going to take a lot of that, and they're going to, use it to, sort of push the agenda, so to speak. But, that's just that's a little bit of it coming around, and I feel bad for the guy. He didn't ask for it. I'm pretty sure he knew what was going to happen, but he seems to have taken it in good spirits. Guitar hack and oh shit, Quentin James is in the house. Don't go causing no trouble, Quentin. I know your game. But Guitar Hack, good to have you in the chat too, my friend. Thank you guys both for joining in the fun. Hashtag Quentin James Authentic. That's good right there. I like that. Stay Metal Ray apparently had Dean offer him a Flying V to check out. We'll know if he got one demo or whatnot any day now. Okay. Yeah, I mean, look, I'm always open to working with just about any company these days. I don't discriminate because at the end, I need to make content for this channel. And I always try to maintain, a level of openness to everybody, because I think that's the way that everything's got to work. Personally, it's the way I feel. What if every guitar company made V's and LP copies? Can Gibson sue everybody? As long as they have the money, they can sue everybody in the good old US of A. Makes me think about Back to the Future Part 2. The justice system moves very quickly now that they've abolished all lawyers. Ah, we got Sean Zimmerman joining us in the house tonight. Sean, welcome. I smell a video coming, says Ben to Quentin. Yes, Brian does have my tone print on his Hall of Fame too. He just sent me pictures of his new Gresh. Brian, that's a fine looking piece of guitar right there. I like that. That looks really nice. Congratulations on that. B. Sean Pierce Johnson Batman Authentic, or B. Batman Authentic. Something like that. I don't know. Zach Thong in the house. Zach, how you doing, buddy? Good to see you. Well, now that we've talked that's all I'm going to say on that piece. So for now, let's be authentically Sean. Play something with this fun new pedal. This one's for you, Hack. So pretentious and snooty. Hold on, let me get my pinky out a little farther than that. Hold on. Wonder if I can pick with my pinky out. Yep. Oh, that's a lot of fun. All right, we're hitting that time. It's getting to be that time where we're going to have to say goodbye for the night. I hope that you guys had a good time. I had a good time, even though we had to touch on some things that aren't exactly fun to talk about. We got to talk about them. You know how it is. Want to say a big thanks, as always, to Ben and Aaron for doing the mod work. I appreciate it, guys, so much. We will be chatting again very, very soon. One quick update for you guys. Sadly, hold on. Don't go away just yet. Don't go away just yet. There is no episode of Stompbox Saturday this Saturday. Okay? However, we might do another live show this week to make up for it. So possibly Saturday, give or take like 3:30. We will be going live again for a little bit and then ending around 5 so that I can go watch AEW Fyter Fest. So let's tentatively pencil in like 3 o'clock-ish, somewhere around there. Hopefully I'll be able to make it happen. I have to go to another student's graduation party on Saturday. Hopefully, since it's close by, I'll be home fairly quickly. Other than that, guys, thank you all so much for joining again. We had Terry's GG&G in the house, Jay Steen, the infamous Quentin James, of course, Ben Coombs and Aaron, my mods, Zach Thong, Guitar, Hack, Brian Landreth. There's so many people, and Dwight Bailey is here. The guy, all of you guys for sticking around for this whole thing, it means a lot to me. So please do. Oh, Janice. Janice is here, and we're just about to end. Janice, I guess you're going to have to catch it on the replay. Guys, I'm sorry, but it's time for me to go. Thank you all so much for joining in. You can always catch the replay. Do share this with your friends. Like, share, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Check out the Patreon. Until next time, my friends, this Saturday, not same bat time, but definitely the same bat channel. I'm Sean Pierce Johnson, and I wish you all great tone and happy stomping. Enjoy the rest of your night. Good night, my friends.